into the Panama Posse presentation now. And if you do have any questions, please write them down. We'll open up the mic after this. So this is the Panama Posse. What is the Panama Posse? It's an organizing of sailing of private yachts between California and Key West. Thank you, Brent, for bringing that to my attention. And we work on a go at your own pace discovery route of 4,500 nautical miles on the Pacific and the West Caribbean coastlines all the way to Key West. Our route on the Pacific takes you from California all the way down to the Panama Canal. And our route in the Caribbean, there's two routes for you to take. If you're northbound, you will go towards Colombia, make your way up to Jamaica, and then run your way up towards the Key West. And alternatively, you could make a shorter route going to Roatan and cutting the 1,500 miles down to about 1,100. Our maritime areas that we cover is on the Pacific side is the US, Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and then Panama. And on the Caribbean side, we operate in the US, obviously, but we go counterclockwise there. We'll go from Panama to Colombia to Jamaica to the Cayman Islands, to Honduras, the Bay of Islands, to Guatemala, Rio Dulce, to Belize, to Mexico, through Cuba, and then back to the US. Our seasons, which is when people are part of it, is from November through June, so outside of the hurricane season. And in the past, the first year we started with 15 yachts, which grew to 83. The second season we would grow to 123 yachts. And last year we had 178 yachts from 14 different flag states. Vessels are sized from 32 feet to 225 feet. We really operate now 8 months. After that, most people leave their yachts in marinas for long-term during the off-season and then tend to rejoin them. We have negotiated discounts in 39 plus marinas that are part on the route and service providers. And we have a kickoff event in early December in Barra de Navidad for those of you who want to come down. We will, of course, record it this season and then make it available to our participants. Along the way are over 500 anchorages, which prior participants have been in or have scouted for us. So what we do over time is we deposit that information and knowledge into our nonprofit organization, which is called GoodNautical, where all the relevant anchorage and approach information lives. So what does it mean? We have 3,000 nautical miles recorded in the Pacific, including routes. And this will be the first year that we're expanding into the Caribbean. So we have a lot of new participants that are going to join us over there. This was last year's celebration, obviously pre-COVID in Barra de Navidad, and it was a really fun time. Again, we will do it again this season, but everybody's going to be wearing a mask and a straw through the mask. Marinas that we have, again, we started with 5 in the first year. We are currently at 39 marinas all around this route, and we have negotiated discounts, minimal 10% and as high as 45% for the participants. The Southern California round, we tend to just say, okay, it's 200 miles basically between the Point Conception and San Diego, most well-known routes there is. Lots of boats are there. This is Chuck's backyard. Our partnership marina in California is the California Yacht Marina, and they will give you a discount. I believe it's 10 or 15%. The next part of the route, which many of you are familiar if you're on the West Coast, is of course Baja California. And we look at Baja from Ensenada all the way down to Cabo. We have a couple of boats that are currently actually underway. I just got some nice pictures from them. They're buddy boating down the route. It's 700 nautical miles. We would recommend that you check in Northern Baja first in Ensenada. Our partnership marina up there will do all the clearing in for you. That's Marina Corral, by the way. And then from there, you can basically day hop down except for 2 overnights, which will get you then around to Cabo San Lucas. Again, it's a well-established route for those who are on the California side. These are just some pictures of the barren coastline that you will face. One of the big tuck-in points is obviously always Turtle Bay, which has outrageous fuel prices for our powerboater participants. It's a place where you can rest up and then do the last hop down. One of the lovely places, of course, Scorpion Bay. Again, as you can see, a very barren coastline. And then this is Bahia Santa Maria. And then right around the Cape, right around here is when you start feeling warm air. Because this is basically where the tropical parts of Mexico start. This is Cabo San Lucas, and we actually have a deal with EGY, Cabo San Lucas Marina. If they have space, they will give you a discount, and it's a very popular place to go to. After that, rounding around, you would go to La Paz. We have a deal with the marina in La Paz. And if you wanted to sit out a season in the Sea of Cortez, we have now, in GoodNautical, described every single anchorage that we have in the system. So some people spend a whole season in the Sea of Cortez before they venture on across to the mainland, or the Costa Alegre, which is the mainland of Mexico, of course. The first bay there is across would be Mazatlan. We work with Marina El Cid in Mazatlan. That's about an 80-mile hop across if you go straight. And then it's maybe another 150, 200 miles down towards Puerto Vallarta with daily hops. Established a route where you can mostly day hop, so you don't need to take on extra crew. There's really only a few overnights that you need to prepare yourself for, and then you can rest up afterwards. Puerto Vallarta, it's a big cruising ground. It becomes more tropical there. We work with Marina in Vallarta. Our tagline is we sail where the coconuts grow, because that's where you kind of started. And the Costa Alegre, south of Puerto Vallarta, is really a beautiful cruising ground. Lots of bays, lots of nooks and crannies. It's only about 150 miles from Puerto Vallarta to our headquarters, which is Barra de Navidad. This is where the Panama Posse was born almost 4 years ago. This is where we will meet up on the first week in December. For those of you who make your way down, we have seminars there. We have a massive potluck that is a high quality potluck. And we currently have about 40 vessels waiting in there already to start the season and the activities. Barra de Navidad, incidentally, was also the base of the Spanish fleet in the 16th and 17th century, which is where they took their galleons across to the Philippines to do part of the spice trade, and then rounded back up through, I guess, California and came back down. It's a beautiful lagoon also, so if you're not staying in the marina, you can anchor out. That lagoon has probably room for 50 to 60 vessels easily. After that, we round down to Ixtapa. Ixtapa Marina is a beautiful little spot. There's lots of offshore little islands that you can visit and even anchor. And around the corner is one of the fabled cities of Zihuatanejo. Zihuatanejo has its own character, and we lose many people there that just stay there for the whole season because they love it so much. It's a lovely town, very exciting, and very tropical, beautiful place. After that, Acapulco beckons, and of course, it's a fabled town. Historic, old movie stars used to go there. Brent will nod his head because I think he spent a couple of his childhood years there. Yes, learned how to drink tequila, I'm sure, as a kid.
16 years, three times a year.
Okay, got it. Perfect. After Acapulco, where of course there's the Quebrada and the cliff divers, which you'll be able to see, we head down towards the southwestern part of Mexico on the Pacific coast, which is 500 miles from Acapulco to Chiapas. A very impressive route because you go through Puerto Escondido, and then you go through Huatulco, the national park, which is a fantastic little place with lots of little anchorages. So you have about 13 anchorages in a stretch of maybe 11 miles. Plus you have 2 fuel docks there and a little municipal marina called Marina Chahue, and it's a national park. Huatulco as a region is the culturally rich region in Mexico that focuses on culinary arts. This is basically the little marina that we stay in there. It's Marina Chahue. After that, from there, you will basically wait until you're giving the green light by the harbor master to go across to Tehuantepec. Tehuantepec is a high weather scenario. So it either blows upwards to 40, 60, 70 knots, which is the Isthmus of Mexico. So it creates these events, and the gate typically opens up for 2-3 days for you to make it across about 235 miles. So from Huatulco towards Chiapas, 235 miles. The most difficult part is to get towards Salina Cruz. We go over this in our weekly weather calls, so you'll know when to go, when it's safe to go, and where to hug the coast. In Chiapas, we recommend you take a couple of tours. A lot of Mayan and Spanish culture. It's got Mayan ruins, Palenque. There's about 7 or 8 World Heritage sites. So that rounds up the first portion of which is Mexico. And of course, it's a pretty intense route. After that, you will check out from Chiapas and you will make your way through Guatemala. With the help of Brent, arranged a discount with Marina Pez Vela in Guatemala. And it's one of the premier fishing grounds. So for those of you who like to fish or sailfish, Marina Pez Vela will set you up with some of the best premier fishing in the area. That's only 150 miles on a coastal route, and it's fairly plain, as you can see. After that, we go to El Salvador. In El Salvador, we work with the El Salvador Rally, and after about 70 miles on the coastline, you can enter the bar. A pilot will guide you across the bar into the beautiful lagoon of Bahia del Sol. Once you're inside, they will actually host you and give you cocktails as you check in. It's a fairly easy check-in process. This entire estuary is full with expats home who've built their own docks. So this is El Salvador. It's a very calm estuary with a big tidal flow, beautiful, calm conditions. And most likely you'll run into a couple of Panama Posse folks there. From El Salvador, you can also visit some of the Eastern Mayan ruins. We have tour guides there, and they will take you to those places. One of the most phenomenal sites is La Joya de Seren, which is the equivalent of Pompeii. Functioning Mayans village was completely covered in 30 feet of ash. And the only really village that we see fully operational has been excavated there. It's fascinating to see how people used to live about 1,400 years ago in the area, what their housing was, and what their tools have been. After that, we jump down, we call it 4 volcanoes in a row, until you enter the area of the Golfo de Fonseca, which is where 3 countries meet. That's El Salvador meets with Honduras and Nicaragua. It's only 15 miles really up, and a lot of people just stay in the first area, which is the Isla del Tigre, to check in and out. From there, this is basically what it looks like. You have a couple of little volcanoes and islands. It's a beautiful area, and you have whales in that area. After that, we enter Nicaragua, which is a fast route down. First entrance and a marina is, of course, next to one of the volcanoes, which is Puesta del Sol. They will clear you in. From there, you can take your day tours to see some of the heritage sites, see some of the volcanoes. And only 25 miles away from this marina is the famous Flor de Caña rum factory. Yeah, we like that, Brent? Yeah, we're going to go. A couple of interesting things about Nicaragua, because Nicaragua comes with its own history. Black flags in the water mean long lines. So this will be your obstacle course along the course. Those are things that like to wrap themselves around your props. So you will learn how to untie yourself from these things or how to avoid them. We have a whole seminar on that as well in Bar. You also start seeing squalls for the first time, because the temperature there during the cruising season heats up a lot. And you will start to enjoy the papagayo winds. And by enjoy, I mean these are fluky little things and little monsters that on the basic grip files will forecast 12 to 15 knots, but will tend to gust up to 40. Recommendation on reefing, this is 250 miles that you will learn how to reef real fast. Or if you're like me, I'm a chicken, I just reef right away. I just go a little slower and really 1 foot on the beach. Nicaragua is fantastic. Obviously, it has a lot of history. Sandinistas were there. It has an evolving government until you get to the epicenter of the Papagayo Winch, which is San Juan del Sur, a beautiful town with lots of little restaurants, and it's a surf spot. Along the coast, you will see fairly organic behavior. It's perfectly natural for you to see little bonfires going off where they burn either sugar cane, or they'll have the cows walk on the beach to get them from one feeding area to the next. It's also historic because the Spaniards were there, of course, 500 years ago. So this is Granada on the lake of Managua, which is one of the epicenters of the actual Papagayo winds. A lot of organic, fairly cheap, and you have some beautiful interior courtyards. Granada is probably worth spending at least a week by itself just to absorb all the life that's going on. As you can see, life continues. Some of it is fairly in your face, and others is a really quaint, and Nicaragua call it alive. Again, it's very calm in there. It's a very pretty little town. And you will learn how to anchor in 35, 40 knots winds. So part of the beautiful thing about Nicaragua, it teaches you seamanship. After that, you will enter Costa Rica from the northwest, which is the dry part of Costa Rica. The first portion is about 200 nautical miles, and it is a fascinating coastline. Costa Rica, this is the Cabo Santa Elena. Once you round it, you will start seeing calmer conditions. This is the Murcielago Islands area, also known because Oliver North used to run the Iran-Contra arms trades out of there. But as you can see, the Admiral was very happy because the winds had subsided substantially. but not so fast because right there we're 25 knots of wind waiting. So we had another half an hour of high winds ahead. Tuck into the Marina Papagayo, which is one of the top-notch marinas in all of Costa Rica. It's beautiful. It's run by Dan, and he will welcome you. We have a really nice deal with them too. They have really wide docks. It's a beautiful little spot right next to a Four Seasons resort, so it's fairly high-end. After that, you'll go down to Playa Cocos. This is where you can do your check-ins. They run water taxis in there, but it's, again, a high wind area still. Not until you get to Samara, which is the central of the first peninsula. That's where you can really start getting calmer conditions, and you will start seeing some surf and some beautiful sunsets again. Around the corner is Bahia Ballena. Now you're entering a real cute little area that has more mangroves. It becomes a little bit more tropical, and it's fairly sheltered. So the Gulf of Nicoya is known for just very calm things. What it does have is a pretty strong tidal flow. After that, we will go towards the central and southern part of Costa Rica. In and all, about another 220 miles to go through. Some of the more stunning national parks will be along this route. Life all around. These are little nebula rays jumping around you. One of the central marinas there is Marina Pesvela, which is known for its sports fishing. It's a fairly luxurious place. A lot of super yachts are in there. It's quite beautiful, Marina Pesvela. After that, right next to it is Manuel Antonio National Park, and this is our quintessential anchorage right there inside of a national park, where you will see sloths, where you will see macaws fly by, you'll have monkeys on the beach. It is a fascinating anchorage. We call it really the Panama Posse anchorage for a reason. A little further south, past a couple of other places, is Corvo Cabo National Park, one of the largest untouched areas in all of Costa Rica, which has over 30 national parks. This is the largest one. It is absolute beautiful tropical jungle. A lot of people hike along this coastline. Good news is you don't have to, because you'll be on the boat. There's a bay, and the wildlife in Corvo Cabo is just absolutely fascinating. I can guarantee you that you will not see all of these creatures, but you will see the blue butterflies. You will see certainly the macaws fly by, and you will see the sloth and some of the monkeys. But don't expect to see a jaguar, and some of the critters are only come out at night. There is tour guides that we now know of that will take you on night walks. So you'll see spiders and all sorts of creatures, including you have 30 species of frogs there as well. Waterfalls falling into the ocean. It is just absolutely mind-boggling jungle by the sea kind of an area. When you anchor, you have a complete sound collage behind you. It will put you to sleep. It will put you at ease. You will feel one with nature. You're in a deep jungle, just anchored there, which is the final Golfo there, the Golfo Dolce, which also then has within it Golfito. Some absolutely calm, beautiful anchorages. Not a lot of boats there. It's a throwback town to the days of the banana trade, and this is an old dock from, I think, from the Chiquita Banana era. There's a small little airport. They have a duty-free area, and Golfito is absolutely calm. It's also known as Banana Bay, and we work with Banana Bay Marina there. So we have our little sloth here sitting in the trees. After that, we go to Panama. Panama is about 330 miles to the canal from the entrance, along the way of the Gulf of Chiriquí, where you'll have lots of anchorages, as you can see. You also have one of the fabled islands called Coiba, and you have several anchorages in places. And rather than looking at it on a satellite map, this is what it looks like. Very calm conditions in the Gulf of Chiriquí, typically during the time of year that you'll be there. You have then the Islas Secas, which are just absolutely beautiful little islands where you can anchor. You will also run across other Panama Posse boats, because as you are heading south, people will be going north, and you can rendezvous with them. These are some of the bays and coastline, as you can see, completely undeveloped, very calm areas there. This is on the Isla Contador on the north side, where we're using tidal flow to get around it. You can see just a small little church on the side of a hill there. Absolutely beautiful, calm conditions. You'll pass by Coiba, which is a national park, a former penal colony, which has unheard of bird species, I think 150 or so, plus an amazing dive site. A lot of super yachts go there because they have about 70% of the flora and fauna that Galapagos has as well. Some very unusual fish there, as well as coral formations. And then as you make your way around into the Bay of Panama, there is the Las Perlas Islands. There, your anchoring skills will definitely be improved because we're dealing with tidal flows of up to 20 feet. So you're definitely going to be watching the depth sounder like a hawk there. After that, you go back to it all, which is civilization. So the first time since San Diego or Puerto Vallarta or Acapulco, you will start to see tall homes again or skyscrapers, because of course Panama, in the Gulf of Panama, this is our headquarters there, which is the Vista Mar Marina. Vista Mar Marina is surrounded by expats, so you have about 5,000 to 10,000 expats, both Americans and Canadians, that live there, and they will just welcome you like you're fresh meat to them. So they will invite you to their homes, to their pools. It's fairly upscale. So we have a lot of friends there, and once you arrive there, we'll basically bring you into the fold. It's about 60 miles from Panama City. The reason we stay there is it's a little bit out of the way, less pollution, a little safer from our opinion, and you can simply jump on a bus and get to Panama if you need to. Also, the marina rates are probably 1/6 of what they are at the Panama Canal. And Panama, of course, for those of you who have or have not been, is the third tallest city in all of the Americas. So you have New York City skyscrapers, you have Chicago skyscrapers, and then you have Panama City. Basically, banking and trade brought a lot of wealth to the area. It's 2+ million people, and it's a fantastic tall city. At this point, you will then most likely stage for going through the canal. We have a 17-minute time lapse where I actually was a line handler on one of the Panama Posse boats. We tend to help each other out once you get there, because you'll need 4 line handlers to make it through. So there's a little lapse for you. This is 40 to 42 miles to make it through the canal. I won't get into the details now on the procedures because we have a whole seminar on that. But basically, this gives you an overview of what the route is. And this is the northbound route, which takes you from the Pacific side all the way to the Caribbean side. That sums up the Pacific of the route. Our registration fee is $150. We have a system called Captain on Call if you don't feel comfortable, where we partner you up with a captain, licensed captain, and we work with GoodNautical, which is thrown into your registration fee. At this point, now we're looking at the Caribbean. So from the Caribbean side, our Panama Posse Marina there, headquarters is Shelter Bay Marina. There's probably several participants there right now. We work with Juano. From Shelter Bay, it's 150 nautical miles across to the Bocas del Toro area, where we have another 2 marinas. Very tropical, very calm place. It's an archipelago of islands. We work with the Bocas Marina in Bocas del Toro and the EGY Red Frog Marina there as well. On the other hand of the canal, so if you were to turn to starboard as you come out of Colon, you will go through towards the San Blas areas. That's 175 miles. With the first 24, the first hop should really be 70 miles to get out of some of the quirkier areas there. And the San Blas Islands is, of course, a World Heritage Site operated independently within Panama by the Kuna Indians. And they have 60 villages, some of which are on islands and some of which are uninhabited islands, and they are a very unique culture. They operate independently and they weave some beautiful wares, etc. So as you then make your way out of Panama, you would check out, and from the southern port on the Caribbean side, you will then make your way up towards Cartagena, which is only about 140 miles away from the border, with a couple of anchorages and spots along the way. We there work with 2 marinas. One's Club Náutico de Cartagena, and the next one is, and Cartagena is, of course, a big Spanish fortification and an international city with direct flights to the US. After that, we also work with the Club de Pesca in Cartagena. Outside of Cartagena is an archipelago of islands called the Rosario Islands. Those are beautiful little places with lots of reefs. That's just a stone throw out, maybe 20, 30 miles. So it's the equivalent of going to Catalina, but you can obviously see the waters are a lot clearer and warmer. Up the coast towards Barranquilla, where we work with Marina Puerto Velero. That's a nice little marina. And from there, the last stop would be Santa Marta. This is as far east as you're going to be able to make it, which is almost a windbreak area. And from Santa Marta with the EGY Marina, you would stage and wait for a weather window for a 435 nautical mile passage across the Caribbean to Jamaica. Now there, the Royal Jamaican Yacht Club will open their arms to you. You will be able to check in, get checked in, and start proceeding around Jamaica, which has about 200 miles of southerly and northerly coastlines. The southern route is more remote. The northern route gets you around more touristy areas. I call Jamaica the blue area. It has beautiful reefs. In many ways, this particular image on the right reminds me of the Marquesas, with actually reefs around it. So it's almost like the Society Islands. So Jamaica has a lot to offer. It's a very different culture from Latin American culture. And it has some beautiful caves and just some very interesting attractions. We work with not just the Royal Jamaican Yacht Club, but the Montego Bay Yacht Club and the Errol Flynn Marina, which is in, I think, Ocho Rios. The culture there is we run things and things not run we. It's all about the patois Creole culture, and it's a very different mindset. After that, we sail from Montego Bay towards the Cayman Islands, which is an overnight, about 132 miles to the first stop, to the first island. There's a mooring ball. From there, it's another 145 miles to Grand Cayman. Cayman is a much more developed country, obviously benefited tremendously from relaxed banking rules. There we work with the Barcadillo Marina. Currently, it is under quarantine, so you're only able to go and pick up fuel, provisions, and water. But we expect those rules to relax by the time that our vessels are going to get there by December. It's known for its diving, and it obviously has some large beaches. It's a little pricier than what you've been used to at this point because it's almost double the price of the rest of the route. From the Cayman Islands, we then head to Bay of Islands, Honduras, also known as Roatan. The first anchorage there will be Swan Island. From there, it's 127 miles, basically one other overnight to get you to the archipelago of the Bay of Islands. This is Swan Island, which is Honduran Army base. Don't worry, you'll be fine. You'll basically anchor right in front there where we show you. And from there, you'll stretch across to the first island, which is Guanaja. And as you can see, it's a fascinating place because they have a contraction of homes next together, fishing villages that are built right on top of reefs. And it has lots of islands and little islets next to it. After that, it's a quick hop across to Roatan. That's the main area, lots of diving there. We work with 3 different marinas there: Jonesville Point Marina, Fantasy Island Marina, and the Barefoot Cay Marina. There's lots of things to do. It's a fabulous place, great diving. Lots of expats live there as well. Roatan, of course, has lots of little reefs, and you will definitely make your reef passages done well in there. You'll learn how to read reefs and make your way through with high visibility into some of the nooks and crannies that Roatan has to offer. On the south side then is Utila, a small little island, but fascinating place. Lots more outlying reefs. And as you can see, some pretty interesting remote spots that you can sail through. We use satellite navigation for most of that area. After that, after you check out, you will make your way to Rio Dulce. Rio Dulce is a historic port. Spaniards used it as a trading route into Central America. And you will basically wait at the entrance of Rio Dulce for favorable tides. And if you draw more than 6 feet, they will tilt you over with a long line and to make sure that you can make it over that particular river bar in Livingston. That's what that looks like there. Once you're over the bar, you can then proceed up the river into Rio Dulce. So you basically go up a river, which is about 20 miles long until you make it in through the lake, which is the area where they have 10 different marinas. We work with Marina Nana Juana there, which also has a yard right next to it. You will see some of the Spanish fortifications, which basically safeguarded the Spanish and gold that they were protecting. So there's major trading posts and Spanish outposts there. After that, and you can leave the boat there safely during the hurricane season because it's 30 miles up a river. A lot of people do that, then they fly back. After that, it's a quick route, maybe 30 miles to get to the entrance of Belize. Belize, of course, has the second largest reef in the world after the Great Barrier Reef. Features 130 nautical miles of as the crow flies, but it has literally hundreds of anchorages there. Placencia is the first kind of spot where you would go, and you will see a lot of expats live there. We work with them with Thunderbird's Marine there. They're a working yard where you can get things fixed. As you can see, it's a little bit wealthier as a place, but a lot of reef and uncharted waters. So we recommend you navigate there during daytime with good visibility or following a track that you've laid yourself. Belize then, of course, features one of the largest features, or the Great Blue Hole. This is a 1,000-foot wide hole that was formed over the last few ice ages, and it's 440 feet deep. It's a fantastic dive site, and one of the top things to do and visit while you're in Belize, among all the other beautiful places. Belize City, of course, used to be part of Spanish Honduras. Then became British Honduras, and Belize City has its own culture. So half the population will speak Spanish, the other will speak English. It's a fascinating duality of a place. And after that, after you check out of there, you will make your way up the Mexican Mayan coastline, 150 miles towards Cancun. With that, along the way is, of course, 3 different marinas there: Marina Macax, Marina VNV, and the Marina El Cid in Cancun. Those are our partnership marinas in Mexico. Along the way, you'll have some fabulous Mayan sites, and of course, the infamous Tulum anchorage. After that is Isla Mujeres. Isla Mujeres is another hurricane hold that people leave their vessels for in Mexican. Our marina is all the way up this little area, all the way at the end, where you can safely tie up inside of basically a mangrove area. After that, Cancun, of course, very modern, lots of tourists there. May not be everybody's cup of tea, but you can get everything there, because once again, you're back in Mexico with Walmarts, with Home Depots, etc. After that, we talk about Cuba. Cuba, we expect to open up next season again. From Cancun to Key West is about 400 miles. So if you don't feel like doing all the paperwork and getting approved by the U.S. Department of Treasury, then you would simply skip across. But our goal for Cuba is focusing on the western part of Cuba, the less developed area, specifically Cayo Largo and Santiago, so on the south coast of Cuba, which is still a little bit better and untouched in our opinion, and has some beautiful white sandy beaches. The Cuba Las Tumbas area is, of course, the northwesternmost part, and very undeveloped and very raw, but beautiful. And in that area is Pinar del Rio, which is a fantastic area. And the reason we want to focus on this is because we want to taste some of the famous Cuban cigars. And this is basically a tobacco growing region within Cuba, so that we eventually will have a Panama Posse cigar, hopefully like her and enjoying life there. After that, we head to the US Keys, which then rounds out the entire route of the Panama Posse. From there, it's another 180 miles to Miami. And then that rounds out basically what we look at as a Panama Posse route. It's 4,500 nautical miles. You don't have to do it in one season. And our goal is to give you free access to GoodNautical, discounts in all the marinas, give you live support with a group chat via a tool called line.me. We have weekly group voice calls where we go over weather, routes, logistics, and specifically now port opening, port closings. We also do seminars, route navigation on OpenCPN. We'll deal with provisioning and sightseeing. We focus on no facts. We once a week issue fleet updates, and we also provide you satellite chartlets as an aid to your navigation. We have a dedicated Panama Canal agent. We guarantee that you'll make friends of a lifetime. We respect your privacy. We do not track you. Only if you want to be found, then you can ping us with your location. And we call this sailing without a schedule, empowering you basically to do this route at your own leisure. That's it. That's what the Panama Posse is. I'm going to stop sharing now. And thanks very much for your attention.